Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Grand rising, whatever greeting works for you. I've been taught that the best greeting is Assalamu alaikum, or wishing you peace. Peace be unto you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and soon Happy Savior's Day. I wanted to take a moment to just come out and chat with us about preparing ourselves for the upcoming new calendar year. And it's a great time to have a new set point in life with our businesses. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I want to talk about dealing with leaving disappointment behind in 2025. All right. So we'll see you all after a short, beautiful prayer and a commercial. We'll be right back. Be a friend and tell a friend.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the Sajda morning. It's a holiday morning, and I know many of you all are probably not even up. But I wanted to just jump out today to have a conversation about a couple of things. I wanted to talk firstly about preparing our minds for the new calendar year. You know, we talk about what are you going to do for New Year's, and I'm the kind of person I like to have goal setting events on New Year's Eve and just getting people focused, thinking about doing for self and their businesses and just living a better life, being happier, healthier, wealthier, and getting a little closer to God, step by step. And so we talk about that. We may do some goal setting, but I want us in preparation for this new Gregorian calendar year to begin to focus on healing. Let's focus on our minds. Let's focus on our hearts. And let's focus on healing. Healing is going to solve the majority of our problems. The reason why I say focus on our minds, because we live in this world where Allah is ever present. Ever present. You all know I practice the concept of looking for Allah everywhere. And so I'm always looking, always looking. And so in always looking, I'm always finding. And then you say, well, what do you mean by that? How is it always finding? You get signs. You get coincidences. You get a number, you get a comment, you get a conversation, or if you don't get anything, you get the blessing of looking at his essence in other things, in colors, in people, the beauty of people and how people come together. So there's a whole lot of ways we could go into that. And that may be a worthy discussion that we do. And maybe that's our New Year's Eve focus. I don't know. I haven't come up with it, but it's time for us to focus on our minds. We're so programmed. We got this phone in our hand and we're looking to see how many likes we got, how many comments we got. And those likes, those comments, every time we do that, we are activating a chemical in our brain that is placing a certain amount of reliance on whether or not those likes are there, those comments are there. And when you place that reliance on that, it ultimately can lead to disappointment. And we're going to talk about avoiding disappointment and leaving disappointment behind in 2025. When you get to 2025, I want you looking back and I want you to leave disappointment behind you. Get busy focusing on yourself. Create some new neurotransmitters. Spend a little bit longer time in prayer and meditation. Anytime you sustain a state longer than 5 minutes, it gives your brain an opportunity to adjust. And once your brain adjusts, then your body can adjust. If we find ourselves and we're not feeling good, let's ask ourselves, what are we pushing against? What is the mental condition that we're challenged with? And don't be ashamed. It's okay. This is why we have these tools. This is why we have this powerful mind, is to move us through and help us navigate through challenges. But we got to first focus on it. I call it, let's do some mental cleanup. Let's scrub our mind. Let's scrub our heart before we go in to 2025. Some of us are staring a blessing right in the face. Some of us are looking the answer to our prayers smack dab in the eye. And we're slapping it and cutting it and pushing it away because we're so comfortable with our old way of being. We use deceptive intelligence to make it all right. Well, I got issues, or I can't stand this, or but we're looking the answer to our prayers in many cases right in the face. But we can't accept it because we got mental issues that are preventing us from moving to that new space. And I'm saying, let's take some time to scrub through those mental issues. Let's spend some more time in prayer and meditation. Turn the TV off. Shut down the series, shut down the movie, get off the phone, and sit there. Give it 20 minutes of focused silence. Just sit there where you're doing nothing but focusing on your breath and it's silent. Give it 20 minutes. You may wander. You may get a little anxious. You may get a little bit nervous. Shut it down. Give your body a chance to focus on itself and reset and reheal. Turn it all off. Turn the TV off. Turn the radio off. Turn the music off. Turn it off. Put the phone down and stop for a minute and listen. Listen to your breath. Listen to that spiritual God force coming through your body every second. Just listen. Listen to how your body's responding to the breath. Listen to the energy that is flowing through your body. Just feel it. Just allow it. And spend some time doing that. And they say that if you can go 8 consecutive days of doing that, you can literally change your life. Because the answer to what you're praying for is already inside of you. But what's blocking us? It's the programming that we keep accessing ourselves to and that we're so addicted to. Most of us have addictive personalities. And that addictive personality makes us latch on to the trauma, latch on to what happened to us, makes us live in the past. At the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? If you're aware and you're focused and you're meditating, what is the worst that can really happen? Most of us ain't got nothing that somebody can take away from us. You can be mindful of how much energy is given out. You can be mindful of what information goes out. But why not take a minute and say, you know what? Let me heal. And even if you don't think you need to heal from anything, then just say, Allah, heal me from what I don't think I need to heal from. And do that meditation. Ask that question and go into meditation. And I'll tell you something that I do. I go into my meditation before prayer. I set the intention. Sometimes there's no intention. I go into meditation and then I pray. So I wake up about 4 to meditate before prayer. Because when I say those beautifully crafted prayers, I want my mind clear. Because what I found, I used to do it the opposite way. I used to pray, and then after the last prayer, I would go right into meditation, right in that position. But what I found is that I'm not really conscious of the prayer if I haven't cleared my mind. I'm not hearing the words, I'm just saying the words, and then it becomes a ritual. But when this is just me, when I flipped it around and I meditated first and then went into the prayer, I could focus on every word. I could see the power of every word. I was calibrated better to the love, right? When you calibrate to that love, ooh, it's some juicy, productive stuff. And so I could calibrate to that. Even before you go and hang out with somebody. I hung out with my girl yesterday, and we just sat up and talked and ate some chili and some popcorn. And I thought, on my way there, I said, let me calibrate myself. Let me not bring my day to my sister's house. Let me recalibrate, release it, refocus on the love, and then go. Because guess what? Good people don't deserve your shit. Say it again. Good people, when God is saying to you, You need a good person in your life. And God sends you a good person or sends you good people or good situations. Say, you need something good in your life. But then here we come with all our baggage and all our stank and the stench. And we just like, ugh. And instead of extracting the love and the good and really focusing on that with the faith and the knowing that it's not going to move any further unless the Spirit wants it to. But when we start, being evil and mean and hateful, do you know that you're not the only one that's a good person? There's a lot of good people out here. There's a lot of people that are anointed. There's a lot of people that God has blessed. And when you hurt a good person, it's not going to end up good for you. And so when you find yourself stuck, go back. Who did you hurt? Who did you trample over? Who did you mistreat? Who did you use? So let's scrub our minds and our hearts in preparation for the new year. We're supposed to, as human beings, be evolved. If we're blessed to be here on this planet for 9 to 10 decades, we should be evolving. We should have different phases of our lives where we've created and made and contributed something differently to society. But what happens is we get plugged into the matrix and we spend, the first 30 years doing something, and then we spend the next time chasing it, and then we just lay down and chill and wait to die. No. Where's all that wisdom, that the experience that you've acquired through life? Some of us at 35, 40 years old are really experienced, and we got something that we can teach. Why not do it? But we got to scrub our minds and scrub our hearts in preparation for this new year. Scrub our minds, scrub our hearts. If you struggle with a little mental illness, if you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with fear, if you're that far gone that you are clueless that you have a mental illness, then you probably need to get some deep help. And that's okay too. And some of us need deep help anyway. Counseling doesn't hurt. Going to talk to somebody doesn't hurt. Having good people in your life. But don't curse the good things that God is bringing in your life to answer your prayers. He knows your condition before you even recognize it. He says, I'm going to send you what you need. And then what do? It didn't come in maybe the package that you wanted it. It didn't come in the way that you wanted it. You all know how much business I've gotten just from our beautiful conversations in our podcast. How many opportunities you all have referred me to, or people you've introduced me to people who have reached out because they saw the podcast. And so if I was stuck on, it needed to be an interview, it needed to be a proposal, it needed to be a certain way, then I would miss out on all of that. There's people I've met as guests on the show that have become amazing friends and even clients. There's opportunities out there to do what I've dreamed of doing that have come as a result of the work that I've done when nobody was looking. So don't get stuck on the packaging and the process. What do you need? And how is Allah trying to heal you through that situation, through that place, through that person? How is he trying to open you up and heal you? Some of us got one foot in the grave and one foot out. I don't know where we think we're going. But we just sitting there because we like, well, all right, I ain't got nothing going on. I'm just going to sit here and chill. Come on, y'all. We can still be inventors. We can still be writers. We can still be coaches and counselors. We can still contribute to the society at 70, 80, 90 years old. And I know they make fun of our poor President Biden, and they got everybody thinking like, okay, you should just go sit down. Maybe he should be doing what he's doing from a desk. I'm sure he's got experiences and wisdom that people can learn from, even if you don't like his philosophy. He's been 80 years on the planet. There's got to be something in there you can learn. Some way you can mine and learn, but maybe it needs to be from a desk. Maybe you don't need to be running up plane steps and running across the floor. So just adjust, but you can still contribute. I want to talk about disappointment. Okay, that's the next part, because what I want us to do is we're going to leave disappointment behind. Uh-oh, my chat just went away. I'm going to just put test in here. It just disappeared. I don't know where it went. I was getting ready to show y'all something on the, there it is. Okay, it came back. I was about to show y'all my definition I put up here for you all. I want us to focus on leaving disappointment behind in 2025. And if you're in the chat and you feel like typing, type leave disappointment behind in 2025. We have a wonderful collection of revelation that we study in our nation called self-improvement, the basis of community development. And I think it's in the study guide entitled Building the Will, where the minister talks about disappointment. I put the definition of disappointment up here, and it is disappointment, which is sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. Okay, I'm going to leave that up there for a few minutes. I remember one time, admittedly, I was disappointed or sad about something. And I was very blessed to have a conversation with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who, like Jesus, was mining my spirit for opportunities to heal me. And he said to me, do not allow yourself to be disappointed. And that was such a powerful healing that he gave me, that it really anointed me and blessed me and healed me and gave me a tool. Because in not allowing myself to be disappointed, I was able to see more clearly. I was able to accept the vibrational level, the development level, the belief level, the whatever level that somebody may be on that causes them to react and respond to something a certain way. It may even prevent them from seeing you or seeing me or reacting a certain way. And I was not, let me go back to this. See, most of us are polytheist. Most of us believe in gods besides Allah. And so we believe in something, and we almost make it divine, a divine worship. And then we make a spiritual appointment with that person, place, or thing, where we create expectation. And when we make that spiritual appointment, if the person doesn't live up to our hopes and expectations, the appointment is broken and creates what we're calling disappointment. So there was a spiritual appointment. It may have been a one-sided appointment, or maybe it was double-sided, but we made an appointment with somebody or something or a person or a place or a thing. The spiritual appointment was broken and it created disappointment. The non-fulfillment of our hopes. So when we go and work at a company or sign up for an organization or join a movement, we have hopes. And if the hope that we have is not fulfilled because of the spiritual appointment that we've created, we become disappointed. And I started to think about what makes us disappointed and what is the severity with which we deal with disappointment. Because if I'm putting unrealistic expectations on you, I work for you, you're the head usher at the church, you're in a big position in the mosque, or you are the president of the fraternity, and I put these expectations on you where I bring my life to you and I expect you to do this. This is what you get when you hear people complaining, well, they don't do this and they don't do that, and I don't know why they don't do this or that. Oftentimes we are looking to shirk our responsibilities, put it on somebody else, which is unfair to them because they're trying to navigate through what they're navigating through. They're at their own vibrational space. They're dealing with their own trauma. And then here we come and dump our life on it and then say, well, they didn't do nothing about it. That's why I say focus on your mind and your heart this 2025. What can you do? How can you be contributing to what it is that you have hopes and expectations about? How are you fulfilling it? Because the mere fact that you got the thought in your brain means that it might be your assignment. See, it's so much easier to do well in a leadership position if you got good people who aren't afraid to do good. So much easier. But unfortunately, a lot of times, those of us in leadership positions, we have these control things. We want to control folks. And when you control people and you place too much heavy control on people, you stifle their authenticity. You create a fear to where they can't move unless you tell them exactly how to move. And if you don't tell them exactly how to move, then they just sit there and look at you. What you gonna do now? It makes me think about how the people was looking at Moses. What you gonna do now, Moses? Huh? What you gonna do? How you gonna get us across this Red Sea? What you gonna do? They just looking. Is anybody thinking about how do I get us across? What do we need to do? What is anybody thinking about that? No, we looking at leadership. We looking at government. We looking at them going, why don't they do such and such and so and so? See, one of the things about being a conscious entrepreneur and doing for self, meaning that we know how to do good without asking anybody's permission to do good. I don't need nobody's permission to walk into my blessings. I don't got to ask you to access a good person. Sometimes Allah will just say, you need a good person in your life. You need a good person to just come around you and to just be good and not afraid to do good. Do you know how that will bless your life? If you accept a good person coming into your life, do you know how that will bless your life as a business owner, as a human being, as a member of the government, as a leader? So what I'm saying to us, let's scrub our lives. Let's not life dump on our leadership. They got their own stuff they dealing with. And then this is where we get crazy. We sit there and we see them doing wrong and we don't say nothing. We just go home and call somebody. Can you believe she did that today? I can't even believe it. She crazy. I don't know what. We act all Billy Bad and Bold, but nobody pulls that person to the side and says, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? When you did this, such and so, I felt this way. Or I'm not really sure what you were thinking, but that's not the way we do things according to our policies and procedures manual. We don't do that. And they're just left to spin in a hamster wheel in their error, in their wrongness. And then you see it start to affect their body habitus. You see the tiredness. You see the broken downness. You see them aging in an accelerated way. You see the dis-ease, and nobody says anything. Nobody reaches out. Nobody says anything. We just say, man, I don't know what they doing. Question is, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What is going on in your head? What is going on in your heart? Don't let disappointment paralyze you. Don't let disappointment make you drop out of the race. Don't let disappointment cause you to treat people unfairly because you want people to feel the disappointment that you felt. Don't let disappointment cause you to tear up the house. We can't tear up our Father's house. We can't tear up our home. We can't break up the job, the business. We can't tear it up just because we're disappointed. Just because we were polytheistic in our approach and made a God beside Allah. Huh? Now we mad at them because they can't be and wouldn't be and won't be and are unable to be a God or the God that we wanted them to be. So don't allow yourself to be disappointment. Leave disappointment behind. And every time somebody does something that you feel like is a non-fulfillment of your hope or your expectations, give them some grace and mercy for where they are. You know what? I'm going to leave you where you are because that's where you're vibrating. Because some people you can't help. Some people you can't stop and teach them and go, hey, let me holler at you for a minute. And if you could do that, you should do that. If you need to be able to have a conversation, if you see something, you should say something. If you should be able to have a conversation and say, hey, sister, hey, brother, let me talk to you for a minute. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Can I talk to you for a minute? This was supposed to be this way. And I see that it's not. You can have that conversation. But if they curse you out and they don't want to hear you, leave them where they are and move around. Stop trying to put a square peg in a round hole. See, if more of us would stand up and do good without anybody's permission, things would be much better. It'd be better in the world. It'd be better in our organizations. It'd be better in our companies. I remember I used to watch, and I could tell a lot about an employee if they would just walk over trash or walk past, say, like chairs that are just strewn around a table and not put it back together. Because in their mind, they might be thinking that's somebody else's job. I don't got to pick up this paper. You just stepped over all this trash. It could be little pieces of paper. Maybe somebody was shredding something and walking to the copier and dropped some papers. And when you came and just trampled over it, instead of picking it up, it's because in your brain, you're saying somebody else is supposed to do that. And then the minute they don't do it, what do you say? Man, I can't believe they didn't pick up that trash. I can't believe they got the church so dirty. They got the church dirty. What about you? What's your responsibility? So disappointment is a powerful thing. And if you got anything in your life right now that you are disappointed about, if somebody has just disappointed you, you really just had higher hopes in them, or you just can't understand why they function the way they function, I want you to stop for a minute. And I want you to think about yourself. Like, who are you to be disappointed? And who are you to put that much weight on them? And have you ever thought about maybe that person is at their capacity? They might be in leadership. They may be the business owner, but they may have gone as far as they can go. They may have been in this, in the church, in this business too long, in the mosque, in this position so long that life experiences that you have, they just don't have. They don't know. They don't understand. They are at capacity, but you still standing here and want to beat them up because they can't handle what you think they should handle. But the evolution of the company and the evolution of the organization is on you. What are you doing? How are you doing for self? How are you being a beacon of hope? So that, let me say this. Let's say you got a business. Let's use Islam for a minute. It could be any movement, but let's say it's Islam. And let's say you have a business and you employ 20 people. You employ 20 people and you come past maybe 100 vendors and people throughout the course of your day. Okay. And if you are enjoining those people to the principles of Islam, the mode of conduct, the level of civilization, when they dispatch out into the world, do you know how many families you're affecting? Do you know how many people you're affecting? Just because you gave that person a safe environment to be able to have access to a way of life that you say you believe is the answer to our prayers. If they have that access by coming around you, coming to work for you, spending time with you, when they dispatch out into the community, they're taking that with them. And it's a viral effect. They will infect the next person and the next person. Same way with bad stuff. If you're a bad leader and you got 20 people that work with you and they're watching you at your capacity, so angry because you really can't do much more. So you're controlling and you're emotionally abusing people. You're doing all kinds of things that are uncivilized. Those people and that experience, that metaphysical experience with you is infecting their families. And you're weakening the entire community because you just won't admit, I'm at capacity. I got to let some more people in. I need some help. So we can use that same thing and flip it around in another way. Let's do good. Let's heal. Let's focus on our mind. Let's focus on our heart. You can't mess over good people. Allah is not going to forgive you for that. You're not going to get the blessing that you're hoping for if you're messing over good people. So that disappointment that the minister told me, don't allow yourself to be disappointment, can become real if I'm placing inordinate amount of weight on certain people. And here's another thing. Sometimes people really do be on bullshit. Sometimes they really ain't right. And you looking at them and you like, man, this mofo ain't right. Then stop trying to hope. Stop acting as if they are right. Realize and recognize who they are. You may or may not be able to do anything about it, but don't take advantage of the situation because you know they're not right. Now here you come with your strategy to get in and magnify their not rightness, their error, because you feel like they ain't right. I see it. Then I ain't got to be right. They can't make me right. I can do what I want to do. You ever notice in organizations, you all may not notice this, but for me, because I go in and out of so many different organizations, if you see at the top of the organization where the person has a certain behavioral pattern, sometimes people don't understand the behavioral pattern. And in their misinterpretation, they start trying to mimic that behavioral pattern. That happened under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. People saw his lifestyle and saw him, and then they started trying to mimic it and made a mess. But take it down from there. If you go into companies, and I've seen companies where there was I don't want to give the whole information, but there was a client I had that was run by a woman, and she was being abused by her husband. And people in the company knew it. There were a couple of people who were close to her that would say something to her. But for the most part, people just talked about her and gossiped behind her back. Didn't really say anything to her. But what was interesting is the number of people in the organization that were also being abused. It was a very, very powerful thing to watch. I've been to companies where the owner was very promiscuous with the staff. And you had this sort of Peyton place going on in the company that ultimately destroyed the company, because now you got emotions, you got all of this kind of stuff, because most people are followers. And so if you want to know what's happening with the people that they're following, just look at them and what they're doing. This is why in leadership, we have to be very careful. We run in our companies. We see people every day. We're writing paychecks. You got people got late model cars outside that they got a car note that they got to pay. They got homes that they're paying for. They got children in school and in activities. And so this paycheck that you're paying them means a lot to them. And in some cases, people come to worship the source of the paycheck, and they become polytheistic about it. That's why they get so angry when they get disappointed. This is why we have to leave disappointment behind in 2025, because it can really impact people, because they're looking at what your lack of performance can do to the rest of the dependencies that they set up on you. It's a very interesting concept. Don't place so much weight on people. Let's scrub our minds. Let's stop being victims. Let's stop being dependent. Let's stop being predators. Let's scrub our minds. Let's scrub our hearts. Moving into 2025, let's leave disappointment behind in 2024. And let's try to be the light. Let's let our light shine so brightly and so strongly. Whatever your light is, if it's the light of the sorority, if it's the light of Islam, if it's the light of Christianity, if it's the light of the company and you believe in the principles, if it's just your own personal goals, whatever it is, let your light shine so bright that darkness can't exist around you, that negativity has no home with you. Be very careful with all the granular levels of goodness that you have access to. See, everything's not black or white. Most things are nuanced and multifactorial. Okay. So if you see something good in a person, I've been walking down the street before. I remember walking down the street and getting ready to go into a Walgreens. And I went into a Walgreens. There was a man outside who was panhandling. He was obviously appeared to be challenged by some mental illnesses. He had not combed his hair. You could tell in maybe months, maybe years. He had these thick, locked things coming out of his head. He was a dark-skinned man. He had this look. He was bent over, like almost like a heroin addiction. And he looked up and prophesied into my life. And I thought, look at that. Look at that. And it was something that he could not have known that I was dealing with. He spoke directly to it. And then here I am. I go on in the Walgreens. And I remember saying, okay, when I come out, I'm going to give him something. And when I came out, he was gone. So you extract the good. I took the good. I accepted it. That don't mean I got to take him home. That don't mean I got to hang out with him. That don't mean I got to give him my paycheck. Extract the good. Be grateful for the good. I remember when I came out and I saw that he wasn't there, I just stood there. And I said, Allah, bless this man. I don't know who he is or what his situation in life is. May he find comfort. May he be protected from the elements. He clearly is out here in the streets. Bless him to be safe, that nobody abuses him. So I just said this prayer. And as I walked on, I just kept praying for him. Because he sowed something good into my life. And I was grateful for it. Sometimes God is just saying, you need a good person in your life. You need to turn on YouTube and or Facebook and there's Sister Sajda. She's trying to be a good person in your life. Sometimes God will say that. Sometimes you're asking for something, you're praying for something, you're longing for something, you want to be better, you want to do better, but you need access to a better vibration. You need access to better thoughts. You need access to more mind-heart congruency. And Allah will give you that. You just have to look for him everywhere. Somebody could say a word. You could look at a color, go, oh, that color just blessed me. You don't know what it did that answered a prayer. God is always answering the prayers. You can look at a flower. Say, man, this flower is so beautiful. What is that flower doing to your DNA? Look for him everywhere and everything and leave that disappointment behind. Stop placing so much weight on people who are also struggling in their own lives and more than likely are at capacity. I don't care how they look. I don't care how they present. I don't care how they talk. They just may not be able to answer the prayers that you have. See, God brought you into this world with a purpose. You came into the organization, into the business, into the situation with a divine purpose. You are a big person. You are a big deal. Allah loves you more than you can even imagine. Sit with that. The love is so, I can't even think of a word for the love that Allah has for you. What you're trying to do, your business, what you desire. I'm talking to conscious entrepreneurs. I'm talking to people who are doing for self. See, because if you're just about sitting on the couch and you don't really want to do for self, you want somebody else to do for you, then you can't really be resurrected because you're not willing to take your own freedom into your own hands. It's going to take some studying. It's going to take some prayer. It's going to take some moving out and some testing of that faith that you say you have. So let's take a moment and work on the things that have disappointed us. And when we catch ourselves feeling those levels of disappointment, I want you to stop. And say, what levels of expectation do I have? What levels of expectation do I have that may be unrealistic that I placed on this person? And do I need their permission to do good? Do I need it? Do I need my employer's permission to go out and do good? Not really. So in other words, as we're preparing for 2025, let's scrub our minds. Let's go through and take that scrub brush and just let's scrub our minds and let's scrub our hearts. What are we harboring that has caused disappointment, that has created a trauma? It may not be our fault, but it is now our responsibility because our body, our sovereignness is impacted by it. See, when you brought your trauma over here to me, you made me responsible for it. I'm not responsible for it in you, but I'm responsible for how it impacts me. When you brought your negativity and your stankness and your ugliness over here to me, I'm now responsible. It ain't my fault, but now I'm responsible because I let you in. I'm not responsible for you, but I'm responsible for how it impacts me. How has your own trauma or somebody else's trauma impacted you that you are now responsible for? Let's work on that. Let's work on that. Some people say, I heard somebody say, well, you know what? My mama used to make sweets and I love sweets. I got a sweet tooth and now I got diabetes. Okay. Well, now you are responsible and diabetes is curable. And so let's go about the business of working on what's happening here mentally. I want you all, even if you're impacted by a disease or something they call a dis-ease, I want you looking up the spiritual significance of that dis-ease. And I want you to think about what's going on in your mind, okay, that is causing that illness. What did we access? What can we do? And then once we know what caused it and what the spiritual impact of it is, we can then focus our prayer and our meditation on the mindset that is the opposite of that so that we can turn it around. What's causing us to gain weight? What's causing us to not feel good? What's causing us to have a dependent mindset? What is causing disappointment? And how is that disappointment manifesting in our body? Some of us are so disappointed that we just automatically just make ourselves sick. But what What is the energy? And then those disappointments become contagious. It all starts here in the mind. And a lot of people don't like to hear that because they say, well, it ain't my fault. I was around somebody that was sick and I got sick. Or it ain't my fault. They didn't do X, Y, Z. It's not your fault, but it is now your responsibility because it is impacting you. And you have a responsibility to yourself. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. Brother Lamont says, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Happy holidays to all. Wa alaikum salam. Happy holidays. Sister Aurelia says, ASA, that's an acronym for those of you who don't know, for Assalamu alaikum. And for those of you who don't know, Assalamu alaikum simply means peace be unto you. So when you hear us say that, it just means peace be unto you. And let me say something, because people get so triggered by language. Like we are so, I'm just grateful to not live my life like this, but we are so caught up in dogma that when we hear certain words, we automatically have a problem with it. Well, don't deal with this person. Don't talk to that person. I don't like this person. It's just, it's a disrespect for the other person's story. See, if you and I sit down at a table, I have a story. You have a story. When I went to Sandersville and Cordell, Georgia, to visit the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's, revisit his footsteps, the birth of a Savior, I wanted to access his early story. And I came away feeling so much more connected to him. And so that story I should respect. The story of a man who saw 3 lynchings and had a white man walk up and give him a black man's severed ear. What does that story do to the making of a man or the making of a woman? So when I sit down and you disrespect my story, you're trying to tell me I don't matter. So if I feel like saying to you or saying Assalamu alaikum or peace be unto you, and my story is that I am a Muslim and my foundation is Islam, that don't mean you got the right to disrespect my story. And I see it all the time in business where people only want to do business with certain type of people and they make up all these lies. It's just, I'm sorry, I don't know what made me think of that, but I just wanted to say that because everybody comes to the table with a story. And the best thing is to be a lover of history so that you understand that person's story and you can be clear on how the circumstances of their life help them to shape and mold who they are. This is especially important when you see great people who have accomplished magnificent things. What is their story? And when you learn their story, respect their story. Don't take their story from them and make their story your story and steal their history and not give them credit. That's a whole nother story. Yes, that's right. Leave disappointment behind. Nana Kose Ventures says, season's greetings. Thanks for all your efforts. All praises due to Allah. Thank you so much for saying that. That means a lot. It means a lot to me because Allah put something on my heart many years ago, and I made a decision that whether one person cares or a million people care doesn't matter to me. I have to do and express what is on my heart, which I believe is from God. And I will tell you, I was reviewing my life and I realized that I've been quantum leaping for a very long time. since I first graduated from college, I start quantum leaping, where Allah was like, go here, do this. And when I would go there and do that, I would quantum leap into a new reality, quantum leap into another level of elevation. And then I'd get there and there might be some struggles to maintain, like, you know, to stay on that level. And then he'd say, go over here. And then quantum leap to that. And then there was a period in my life where there was a lot of fast movement here, just preparing me. And so I just settled down and started trying to learn Allah's pattern with me and become intimately connected to him so I understand how he interacts with his daughter. That's right, Regina Ash. Do not allow yourself to be disappointed. Thank you for that. Sister Aurelia says, teach on mining the spirit and anointment from Jesus. Yeah, Martha and Mary. Yeah, mining the spirit, mining your mind is what he does. Jamal, brother. Oh, that's Brother Jamil. Assalamu alaikum, walaikum salam. He said, teach us life dumping isn't fair. It's not. It's not. We kill. It's such a slave way of being, Brother Jamil, because what we do is we just dump our problems and our lives. We find somebody to dump it on. And the church and the mosque is great spaces for us to think, okay, I can just go in there. They preaching the word of God and I can just dump my life on them. I ain't got to do nothing. I just got to show up, do what they say, and just let them dump my life on them. And then I'm going to sit back and see what they're going to do with my life. They ain't helping me. They ain't giving me nothing. You just dumped your big vision, your big dream, which is your life, on the people. And it happens in the church, in the mosque. I don't know if it happens in the synagogue. I don't know how they do it, but I know for sure in the church and in the mosque, we as former slaves go up in there and we dump our lives on leadership and expect them to fix our whole life. We think we ain't got to do nothing. We just continue to be Negroes and we dress up, but we niggas underneath. Because we want somebody else to fix our life. We want somebody else to take responsibility for our life. We're looking like, I thought if I did what you told me to do, if I let you control me, then my life would be fixed. And then all of a sudden, that person who you dumped your life on is no longer there. And so what you do, you go back to your old BS that you probably never let go of. Or you walking around mean, disappointed, mad because you came, you dumped, and that was it. Let's take responsibility. Let us take responsibility. Let's scrub our minds. Let's scrub our hearts. What can we do to be better people? How better can we contribute? How can we heal? What traumas are we holding on to? What disappointments are we just married to? One other thing, I'm going to say this. I'm going to finish going through the comments and then we're going to be done. In the study guides, the minister talks about that wobble. Okay. Think of an egg that is not perfectly round. You know, when you try to roll it, it's going to wobble. And think of this as your center point. He would draw a line on a piece of paper and have the wobble going in and out. That has become a guiding force to my life, because if you let your wobble get so far out, you might not get back. You want to tighten up that wobble so you're as close to the center line or the word or the wisdom as you possibly can. And you don't want to swing out so far because you're going to need some intervention in order to get yourself back. Tighten up that wobble. We all going to have issues where we are not perfect. It's a hard lifestyle to live, being a Muslim, being a Christian, It's hard in this world. Even though it's our nature, it's hard in this world. So there's going to be some mistakes. We're going to do some things that ain't right. We're going to think some things that ain't right. We're going to act in a way that ain't right. Catch yourself. If you catch yourself going out too far, reel yourself back in. And I want us to use this preparation before we go into this new calendar year to tighten up that wobble and pull ourselves back in. Let's stop dumping our lives on other people. And those of us who are religious, we go to church, we go to mosque, stop dumping your life on leadership. Get up and do something for yourself. It's going to require courage because that leadership is so used to you life dumping. You might get in trouble, but be a good person. Be that person that when people come around you, something is deposited in them. Something shifts. They shift closer to God. They shift closer to love. And then as you walk away, it's a ripple effect. Anyway, we got RJ Funches on here, says ASA, Assalamu Alaikum. Again, that's the acronym. Sister Betty is here. She said, happy Wednesday, everybody. In fact, Sister Aurelia put some emojis up here. What else we got going on? Teach, you can't take nothing personal. You really can't, because people, here's the dichotomy with personal. Your development and your life and your focus on yourself and moving forward must be personal. Your desire to heal is personal. Your desire to get better is personal. Your desire to do for self is personal. Your relationship with Allah and his Christ, how you see Jesus, is personal. How other people see it, that ain't none of your personal business. And so if that person is in a deviant space, you can't even take it personal. Now, you might got to stiff arm them. You might have to put a ring of fire around yourself, but it ain't none of your personal business. So how they're acting and what they're pulling out of the universe based on what they're acting, how they're causing the universe to respond to them based on how they conduct themselves, ain't got nothing to do with you. You focus on yourself. Let's see. BN Chris TV says, happy new day, family. Yes, yes, and yes. Restrictive law is a good business model. It will cut out a lot of foolishness. That's exactly right. Every day, everybody comes to the table with a story. Yep. And the last one I see, Maya Abdul Rahman says, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. I am one of the ones who always have blamed another for my actions. As I type this, it just doesn't make sense. I am responsible for my actions and my future. Yes. Yes, Maya. We are responsible for our actions, our future. We can't blame nobody else. We can't dump our lives on anybody else. We have to string together the series of good decisions which become a good life. I'm going to say it again. String together a series of good decisions that become a good life. We'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday. I can't remember. Just come back tomorrow, 6 a.m. I can't remember what we're talking about. We are going to have a very powerful conversation on falling. Spiritual falling and physically falling. What does it mean? I'm going to give you a little hint because I want y'all to start thinking about this. All of us have fallen before physically. And I want you to think about the process of falling and how at a point when you start to fall, you don't know you're falling. And then there's a point where you become conscious that you're falling and you can't do nothing about it. And when you hit the ground, it's like you come out of this trance-like space, and now you got to take the assessment to see if you've hurt yourself. That is true, even spiritually. So we're going to talk about that this week too. So tune in tomorrow, 6 a.m. Central Time, right here. Support the vibration that we getting, that we're sharing, that I'm helping you with. Support it. Cash App, Sajna Enterprises. I know y'all filled up with your Christmas stuff and your Kwanzaa stuff and your Hanukkah stuff and soon to be your Savior's Day stuff, but squeeze out a little bit for your sister. Support the network, because I want to continue to be able to bring these programs to you at no charge. I'm planning some amazing things for the summer at Sajda House, and I want to be able to gain sponsorship so that we don't necessarily have to charge. But if we have to charge, then you may have to pay. But if you support and become a sponsor and do these things now, we can figure out how to pass these things of value on to you. But I want to teach us that when we receive, we have to give. Let's not be a subtractor. You get something good, you act like you stole it. You go off in the corner like a little animal and you looking around like they better not take it from me. That's not how we live our life. We live our life with flow. We get something good, we give it back. We get something good, we give it back, and we flow. We flow through life so that we always have access to the abundance that we need. Flow, 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 flow. All right. So support the vibration, Cash App, Sajda Enterprises. Make sure you join the mailing list. You see it going across the screen. Support sajdahouse.com. Join the mailing list so you have access to our upcoming tour schedule. We have to monetize the place, right? And I want to say one last thing, because there's a rumor going around that Sajda House is going to be a mosque. It is not a mosque, okay? It is a residential house museum. And I'll come back and share some more information about that. But it is not, it will not be a masjid. It will not be a house. It's not going to be a place where people are going to come and be able to do Jumu'ah or anything like that. We have mosques that are very nearby for you to do that. Okay. Folks always starting some kind of rumor. It's just incredible to me. People ain't got nothing to do. Or maybe they do have something to do. I think it's strategic because they want us to, they want to block us from grants and loans and things like that. And they go, oh no, it's a mosque. It's a church. I don't even know where they're getting that from, but that is absolutely not the case. And in Chicago, there are many house museums, some of which people actually live in and are residential facilities, but they're house museums because somebody famous lived there. And we have this category in Chicago, St. Louis, San Francisco, Philadelphia. They're house museum categories. And so you're passing by. It's the way in which the historical aspect of the city is preserved, because these great homes, many of which you can visit, you could take a tour where people look outside at these houses, or you could take tours where you go inside the house. There's a couple where people actually live, and you could actually go in and tour those spaces. But the idea in our community is to preserve our history and to tell our story. Okay. So we will talk more about that. You're welcome, Brother Jamil. He says, thank you for introducing me to the community of house museums. Absolutely. My grandmother wants her house to be a museum. Yeah, you can. there's a lot of people that do that, this concept. And if you drive past, let's say, Nat King Cole's old house, you should know that. And maybe the people inside may not allow you into the unit, but perhaps you can, you go past and you go on the grounds. But this is conceptually very popular, and especially in areas like North Kenwood, it makes the property values go up, because if you know, okay, that's the Goodyear mansion, or that's the Hoover mansion, or that's where Elijah Muhammad lived. And in those cases where you could go into those homes, means a lot. So no, it is not, it is not a masjid, it's not a mosque. It's a house museum that you can visit. I know someone that lives in a house museum, and they actually live there, but they give tours of the house on the weekend. At the Cole House, they keep chestnuts roasting on an open fire. The Nat King Cole House. Jamil. That actually would be pretty good, right? They let you come in and get some chestnuts. Have anybody ever had chestnuts roasting on an open fire? I don't know. Anyway, happy holidays, family. Love you all. Support the network, support the house. If you're coming into Chicago for Savior's Day and you thinking, hey, I want to come by, better get on that mailing list so that you know what's happening and what's going on, not only just for February, but for the summer as well. And we got a incredible new series that we're working on called The Messenger's Residence. And we got an intro that we'll be releasing as well. So just stay close. Just stay close. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that super chat, Cash App, Sajda Enterprises. All right. Love you all. May Allah bless each and every one of you. And we'll see you soon. I'm going to show you a little video about history, because history is important. And let me tell you all, as business people, study the history of business. Study the history of the economy, because it's just patterns that keep recreating over and over and over again. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible